Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the City Council special meeting of Monday, November 6th. And first on the agenda, we have a call to order, which I have called to order and approved the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I believe the way that we will handle public comment tonight is the same as we have during all of these special meetings involving the construction projects, and we'll have the presentations and then we'll have public comment. If anyone has public comment about anything other than the city hall and police station, I would let you speak now if you had some. Thanks. Anybody online that would like to speak on something other than our topics this evening? Okay, thanks. And then before we start our discussion, just remember everybody needs to have voted by tomorrow at 8 p.m. So don't forget to vote. Exercise your rights. Okay, ready to go? And we'll start with police station.
This evening, I was actually going to propose that
Just when I thought I had.
off the order and start with City Hall.
Okay.
Tonight, because we have some more information to share.
Okay.
Right in?
Okay, well, yeah, I think that was the,
Okay.
Are you ready?
I can introduce them. I think the people that we've got mentioned many times. No, please go ahead, Leslie.
Okay. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I'm proposing we start this evening with City Hall rather than the police station, and we'll revisit the police station after. And this evening, this is what we like to discuss. We have the schematic design budget update to review with everybody. Just to reiterate, this is the budget that represents this snapshot in time. So these are the pricing efforts that align with the information we have today. It represents where we are and will likely shift as we evolve in the design and get more decisions made, the pricing.
Leslie. It's this information. I did want to say that tonight, if you're talking about the city hall and police station milestone approval. And with the information that we had as far as the design budget, et cetera, the intent or the hope is that the council will provide direction for us to move on to the phase. So we're going to go through the information for both projects. And there will be a question. There will be a test. No, there will be a question after. And that is, are you willing to move on to design development? And if there are any concerns, what are they, so we can go ahead and get those ironed out. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. After we discuss the budget and where we are, our snapshot for both projects, I'll move on to the City Hall site and parking strategy. That's been something we've explored since our last meeting. And so I have an update and a schematic of how that might come together. A quick floor plan review, though that has remained as you've seen it in the past. And then finally, we have some design options and discussion based on our last meeting. So we have what I showed last time and then a couple options from there. And next steps up here, as was mentioned, would be that milestone approval for the schematic design so that we can move forward with design development. To the budget update, what you're looking at here and what I believe was in your packets on the left-hand side for reference This was the budget that we reviewed in the past, back in March. This was where we were at conceptual design. The budget then was based primarily off of the size, square footage of the building. The current schematic design estimate, this is where we are now, so more building details. And this represents both projects combined as an overall. The good news here is that our grand total, even though some things have shifted, is actually slightly less than our initial predicted total budget. This includes both the construction costs and the soft costs. So the numbers we're looking at here, all inclusive of the project, including design fees, jurisdictional and permitting fees, things like furniture and fixtures, and other professional services, some that have already taken place, like the site survey and the geotechnical report. All of those elements are captured here in this overall budget. Well, you want to add anything to that? I don't. Other projects, if there are questions.
No, and I know Jordan's on as well. If you have any questions, you can see some of the between our construction costs originally and into where we're now. You see the ups and downs with refinement. Things are becoming more clear, and as we develop, we'll update our budgets as we work through the design evolution. Jordan, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. Things are moving. Dollars are getting rebucketed in more appropriate places, but overall, we've gone up a little bit on the construction, but we've really been focused on dialing in the soft costs over the last month, and so those are becoming a lot more clear. You can see we're a little bit under where we were anticipating, but originally that was just a 30% cost of construction, and now we're actually populating those spreadsheets and putting in the actual numbers. So this is the ebb and flow that you would expect this early in the design phase, and I think it's a testament to the work that we've been doing that we're still on budget, that we're right on track. No red flags from me.
If you recall, when we were talking about the construction manager, general contractor, we said that there was going to be a phase where it was primarily the architect we were going to be hearing from, but as more information was generated, then we were going to hear from the construction manager, and that's what's happening now. And so they will be ramping up as we go on with the project. They'll be doing the estimating. They'll also be working with the architect on constructability issues, other things like that, and ultimately they will be taking responsibility for building the project. So this is as it's advertised.
And I'd like to add to that, from our perspective, having this sort of estimating at early design stages is really helpful for us, because we know then we're on the right track, so that if something needs to change, we know early and can modify the design to make it within our target.
Are you going to go through all these assumptions and clarifications, or if we have a question, should we just ask it about those?
We could do either or, whichever's more
Matter,
productive.
you guys, whatever works for you best.
The assumptions and clarifications for City Hall should be 80 to 90% the same assumptions and clarifications that we reviewed for PD, but we're happy to review any ones that you have questions on.
Okay, well, a lot of these questions come out of a certain amount of ignorance, because I'm not I don't build buildings. But number 3, pre-construction services costs are not included in this estimate and are being carried outside of this separate contract agreement. So could you explain to me exactly what that is and what that means?
So when we put go ahead, Jordan.
Nope, go for it, Will.
So when we put our estimate together for the actual construction cost, it doesn't include that service fee. But if you look at the overall budget, it's included in the overall budget. So this is a snapshot of our estimate for the construction cost. So that's where we're clarifying it in there.
It's part of the pre-services.
But the pre-services are included in that overall budget? Okay. Okay, because it looked to me like the way I was reading it, it said they weren't.
Yeah.
So,
they're not there, they're here.
okay, but they're still included
Yeah.
amount wise. Okay.
Yes,
And then there's a whole bunch of other things that are not included, like if we needed a retaining wall, or we don't, right?
correct.
Okay, that, I mean, I just want to be sure. And when they say cement treatment of native soil, what does that mean?
So that's always something when we look at a site, specifically like up at the cache site, where you have unsuitable soils and you bridge it, you basically treat it with cement and it turns to a hard material. And we're not forecasting that, so we just put that in there, that it's not included in the budget. We don't believe it's needed. So that's where.
This is pretty much the same for both.
Correct.
So you don't think it's gonna be needed up at the police station site either?
At this time.
Okay, so and then unsuitable soil over excavation replacement. Are these all things that are a possibility that would add costs, or are they not? Are they things you're pretty sure will not occur?
Correct, based on the geotech report right now, but we have. Contingencies could be utilized to forecast that, but right now, no, we are not forecasting that that's gonna be required.
I think a good example of that for me is a site I had that the geotech went out, everything looked great, and they started excavating, we found a boulder. And so that was you can't test every piece of the site. So that boulder had to be blown up in that site, and so that we could move it. So that's things like that where you say, okay, it's not included because we don't anticipate it. And every once in a while there's a surprise. So,
Yeah.
but there's contingency to address the surprises, but right now you're not utilizing that contingency for that.
Correct.
So the contingency would address these kinds of surprises of things that are not included.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, if we all had Superman powers and could see the whole site, we would be able to know that for sure. Based on all the intelligent people that have given us information, we don't believe that to be needed.
yeah. It's scary to me because I don't understand all of
It's
the
fair.
possibilities. And so I have to rely on your expertise and trust that you're doing, and that's a little nerve wracking because, a lot of these things are unknowns to me.
And I think that what they're identifying as ones that are unknown, that they don't anticipate being required based on all the valuable information we have been given. There are contingencies that would address things that you would have to then wrap in if something were to be found. So if you found like the geotech goes out and pokes these holes in the site, but they don't poke the whole site. So we just know what we know from those pieces, and we can make a pretty good assumption what's carried over the site based on that.
Okay,
I would add that there's a few different kinds of contingencies also included in this. There is a contingency for construction, which is exactly this kind of thing, for things that are unforeseen that pop up during construction. There's also contingencies for the design process as we continue to make decisions. There's some leeway in there that is included in here, and there is also an owner contingency for things that may come up that are owner driven.
so you can say with quite a bit of certainty that unless barring something totally weird or unforeseen, that it's not going to cost more than these numbers that you've given us.
At this time, ultimately, you always base it on experience, base it on the information that you have, and make sure those things are covered within your budget, because of course, we don't want to come back and ask for more money, and that's why we're prepping, but also we need to identify certain things that are not foreseen right now. Because ultimately, if you don't do that and you don't prepare and something does come up, then we're looked at, okay, why don't you have that covered?
Okay,
And we also have the three contingencies they talked about to
Yeah.
for funding, and we can also reduce the scope.
This estimate for me is the validation that the size of the buildings, the type of the building and the sites that we're building on have been validated with the detail that we've developed in schematic design, that both of these projects with the contingencies that we have are buildable for this amount that you're seeing in the right-hand column. And then it's our job as we go through design development and more information becomes available to make sure that they are within budget.
okay.
Good questions.
Great.
There a reason the
Sure.
inflation costs were lowered by $600,000?
Part of that was we had a little bit of contingency in that initial inflation number. The other part is we were 6-7 months further down the road and 6-7 months closer to actual construction. So that was one of those contingencies that was a function of time, and time has moved on, and we're closer to construction.
Thank you. And how about the selective demolition?
We had some hardscapes included in that, which is shifted into the earthwork side of things, and the demolition, of course, is just for this project and including the abatement. So that's where you see that reduction.
Yeah, one thing that I want to remind everybody is that initial preliminary design that we did, because it was really based on building size and footprint, we used a different estimating format called Uniformat, which really kind of buckets everything into 4 or 5 categories. Now that we're starting to have plans and starting to have additional details, we're into CSI format, which breaks down every piece of the building into 20 to 25 divisions. And so if you start seeing some shift in where the dollars were in the initial estimate and now in the schematic design estimate, that's why that is because we have more buckets to appropriately put the dollars.
Okay, thank you.
I have shifted on the screen to the breakdown of the two different projects. So the city hall on the left and the police station on the right. Very similar format. These are both the schematic design estimates, the totals at the bottom. The sum of those is what we were looking at on the previous slide.
I think one of the takeaways is that the police station went up a little bit, but the city hall went down. So the balance of the two is actually on track.
As we move on, you'll see all these categories populated with numbers as we get to them.
I do want to say, and you can jump in, but the soft cost piece, although they're not broken out each piece, they are broken out on spreadsheets that we have that we're confirming each of those numbers, and the tally is what you're seeing, but each number is being vetted.
So we'll see that filled out.
Yes, certainly we can do it that way.
Okay.
I think for this format, we thought this was easier, but we have it.
Yeah, because as Jordan mentioned, we were carrying that 30%, and we're at that point now. We're like, everything needs to be vetted out and filled out and
Okay.
calculated so that you have a true number.
Any more questions on the budget side of things?
Not at this point for me.
I think we're okay.
Okay. So the site here is next. We have been exploring the possibility of adding accessible parking near the building entry. We talked last time about the potential of doing that on the south side of Gower. So this illustrates what we've been thinking and how it might work. This shows 2 parking spaces added along Gower. They're both parallel parking spaces. One is an ADA accessible space. The second one here we've envisioned to be a time limited drop-off space. So that could be sort of the function of either dropping someone off or dropping off a ballot or coming in for a quick transaction. That would be our goal. So the other thing illustrated here is how the slopes might work to make this function. What we've envisioned is that the curbs here slope down to the parking level so that there's a smooth transition between those parking spaces and the sidewalk. The sidewalk we've jogged to wrap around those parking spaces. And then the area in a little bit darker gray shaded, that would be sloped to get from that lower area of sidewalk up to the closer to the main building elevation.
And if there's anybody online that hasn't seen this before, the main parking is in the rear, like, but with the ADA stalls that are required for the on-site parking. So all the on-site parking is handled there with additional with the ADA stalls. And then this would be in addition to that.
I'd also add that this does not in any way preclude the other thing we've been talking about, which is ADA parking on the north side of Gower. So restriping those to provide more accessibility.
Yeah, I think that at least one more on the north side of Gower would make sense.
That wouldn't be something that you're involved with. That would just be something we would deal with as council,
Mhm.
assuming.
Right. But it's a great idea.
So our next steps, if this looks like something we should continue to pursue, would be to work with the city and understand the process of making these street improvements, because this is work outside of the property lines.
I think the other thing is that we're vetting that we can get the two in there. And ultimately, it's really constricted between, so it may just be the one ADA and that the second term parking may not be viable. So I want to bring that up, but we'd like to pursue doing as much as we can and then back down to one if we need to.
And the priority would be ADA.
The priority is ADA.
Yeah, I like the idea of having.
Yeah.
The feedback that we've gotten from the civil engineering side is that having the two parking spaces gives us less options in terms of grading. Whereas with one space, there would be other options we could look at to get the grades and the ramps to work. One thing I also point out here, when we looked at the building plans last time, an item that was appealing was the weather protection on the west side of the council chamber. This plan here reduces that overhang to 4 feet. We had it bigger at some points. We were running into this plan, the columns holding up that canopy in the corner were starting to impede on our proposed sidewalk that is jogging around the spots. So just an item to be aware of. The lighter area shows where the canopy overhang would be. And the canopy itself does overhang the sidewalk. The columns, the 3 round circles are not they remain in the plaza.
I'm not understanding. Are you saying that that's not going to be where you're going to put the overhang, or it is where you're going?
So that is where, when we look at the building renderings, where we are showing the overhang. In previous iterations, we had it deeper to provide more weather protection, but ran into this conflict. Any further questions on this aspect before I move on?
I think we're okay.
And the building floor plan, there should be no surprises here. This is as we have presented it in the past.
And all the city staff has had a chance to take a look at, okay. And they love it.
We don't believe it yet.
That's understandable.
Boy, I bet HRAP is happy.
And what we're looking at here, this is something you've seen before. This was option one from our last meeting, and I've included this just as a reference. This again is option one. It's the back side of the building. One thing about this option is the way the canopies work. They're a continuation of the roof slope in this option. The same option with the council chamber. This is option two as a recap. Another one we presented last time. This has the simpler roof line along Gower. It's got just the two gabled portions. But it does have that canopy overhang. It has a flat canopy that provides the opportunity for weather protection on the west side. Other images of that option. Option 3A. So this one is new this time. It combines the flat canopy of option two and that weather protection with the increased number of gables along Gower Street. This does have some change in colors. It's got the recessed portion a little bit darker stained cedar. This one does have the darker trim, which was an element of option two last.
I knew that there was something that was,
Different.
I knew there was something I didn't like as much, and that is the darker trim. I like that white, I thought the white trim really looked much more neighborhoody.
Mhm.
And so I'm sad to see that gone.
Wait just a minute.
Okay,
Me too, please.
okay.
So on the back side of this one, we also replicated the language of the canopy and made this canopy on the back side mimic the language on the front side. And so it's a flat canopy rather than the roof continuation. So 3B, this one is similar to what we just looked at, but we did change that trim color to go back to the lighter color. And we increased the contrast, so made that stained color on the recessed portion a little bit darker so that those would recess a bit more.
Can you quickly go back to the other one, just to the first one?
Like an eye,
I didn't like.
like an eye exam.
Okay, thanks.
Exactly like an eye exam. You see this one better or this one better?
And I can bring those up side by side if that's helpful too.
No, I'm fine now.
So very similarly here, this has the flat canopy at the staff entry to reinforce that circulation spine overall in the building. On the roof here, you can see we still have the mechanical well, that flat portion in the center, which allows us to have the daylighting on the interior of the building, clear stories. And this is the council chamber, again, very similar to the previous iteration. And those are the images we have for City Hall. So before we move to police, I can go back to any or address any questions.
Well, I think that 3B looks the least industrial of all of them and the least, administrative, it just fits more in with the character of the neighborhood. I think it's a good job.
I have a question for council. We have the two projects that you were talking about tonight. Do you want to stay on City Hall? Questions, then make a decision on whether you're ready to release for design development, or would you rather see both projects and then have that conversation?
It's better to have the questions after each one, so people who are online can
So
answer questions.
Stick with one
Yeah,
at a time.
Yeah.
Gary?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
In that case, I think that completes our presentation for the city hall portion.
Okay, so
I have a question
Oh.
on this one right here.
Mhm.
The overhang canopy appears white here, but on the lower, it's the darker color.
That may be a function of the shadow
Yeah.
or the sun direction in the image. The intent would be that all of that match. The color of the fascia would match around the entire building.
And it does line up with the fascia on the office side portion too, so.
Yes, so we've kept an eave height here that is consistent.
okay, I think we're open it up for public comment and questions, and then we can ask our questions after, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, so anyone that would like to make public comment that's in the audience? That's
Sinclair, PO Box 1394. I just wanted to make the comment that I really appreciate this process. I do agree that that's the most neighborhoodly looking civic building I've seen in a while. And since I live here in this exact neighborhood, I appreciate that. And it didn't really come up, but I also appreciate the care that's been put into the backside of this. Where as I understand it, we're going to have some tree separation from the houses that are immediately adjacent. And I know that those folks will appreciate it as well. Good job. Thank you.
Les.
thanks, Les.
Anybody else like to make a public comment that's in the audience? Jan?
Jan Siebert Warman, P O Box 778, Cannon Beach. I do like that last one. I agree with Lisa. I'm a little bit confused about the parking change in the front, but I think I remember it from last time, and so I think it's pretty similar to last time when we talked about it toward the end of the presentation. So I think it's okay. I think I'm pretty happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Anybody else in the audience? Okay, is there anybody online that would like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand if you do.
now's the time.
Okay. So counselors, questions?
Well, I like 3B.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too.
I think my favorite is still 1, but I like 3B. So that,
Favorite is 1.
yeah, I like the roof line better. I like
Oh, at the front. Okay.
but I'll go with 3B.
Yeah,
I'm fine with 3B. The trim color doesn't matter to me, but I do like the darker shading to give it some definition.
such a great
Biggest-
idea. That was Sam's.
Benefit to me.
Yep.
Sam came up with that idea. That was great. Yeah,
I like 3B also with the white trim, but remember trims and things can be changed afterwards.
yeah. Like aqua, maybe.
Brandon, do you have any?
I agree, but I could go either way on the trim color, but
When we have time, we can change that as we work through.
I think bright purple might be.
Well, it's my favorite color, but
And is at this point, Bruce, you'd like to get some decisions out of us?
It's up to you. I mean, now would be appropriate, or if you want to wait,
No, let's do
both of
it
them,
now.
you can do it.
My preference would be to treat these as we go over them.
Just get it done.
Yeah. So what is it that you need from us to move forward?
Whether you're this is the schematic design. And then the question is, do you want us to move on to design development, which is the next level of detail?
Do we need a motion for that?
I would like a motion if you can.
Okay. Anybody willing to?
Yeah, Jordan, Jordan, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say one thing before we close the loop on City Hall. Jan had asked me last meeting to provide a cost for the additional dormers on the Gower side, Gower Street side. And so I just wanted, and because I think that was the look that everybody liked. And so I just wanted to let you know that they're about $5,000 a piece to do that over framing. So it's not an expensive cost for that look, if that's what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Is this motion going to approve the idea of the handicap parking as well, or are we just talking about?
Well, there's civil engineers still looking at it, so we're not really sure about it.
You're approving what you see
Okay,
and saying, okay, develop it further. Further development might change it. But for right now, you're saying this is good and we want to go on to the next level, which is design development.
I think the parking is a good solution, so I hope this works out.
With the two spots.
I would move that we approve design and development based on option 3B.
I second it.
Is that, we're gonna actually approve the schematic though, right? And move to design development.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
You want to change it to that?
How about, I move to approve the schematic design with option 3B and move on to design build?
It's exactly what I said.
Okay, great.
And I second that, yeah.
Never.
Seconded.
Any further
Those very
discussion?
words.
Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Ogilvy,
Yes.
Council President McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Nichols,
Yes.
Counselor Kerr,
Yes,
not.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Onward. Now to police station. I write in.
So here we have the things that you've seen previously, starting with site, then we'll look at the plan and the building design renderings and overall views. The site plan, again, is responding to our civil engineer's analysis of the grades and the cut and fill that's required, so the parking is accommodated at. It has been brought to my attention, we won't be using this as a helicopter landing pad as we thought we might. It sounds like there's other options available in the city.
We're not getting a helicopter.
What are the other
I was
options?
rooting for it.
What are the other options?
There's one right up above. There's actually two other helo pads up there or
On Southwind?
up above, up the logging road.
Okay.
We've used before for it.
And they work? Okay, okay.
What we are currently evaluating is a couple options for fire truck access and turnaround. We have a few things that might work for that. One of them would involve giving the fire department access to the secure gate to use that turn into there as a potential fire truck turnaround. That's something we're still exploring. This one does involve relocating one of the small cache buildings that's currently there. That would need to come elsewhere on the site, just because we anticipate regrading the slope that would impact that structure.
So which building?
It's this up in the top right corner of the parking lot. There's a well building, I believe. Again, we're including the existing gravel as a second exit from the secure parking so that there is a second way out of that secure parking if the main gate or main drive were blocked.
Like to just add about the landscaping, that'll start being developed at this point. So I know that there's been desire to have tree corridor component and that'll be exploration in the design development phase.
Thanks.
Can you say more about the oversized vehicle turnaround?
Sure. So one thing that I'd like to start the conversation is with the fire marshal to make sure that they have access if in an emergency up there. And so getting a truck up there and then allowing it to turn a maneuver area to turn around is important as we develop for the site. And so we've been looking at two options for that. One is the fire truck can pull up and turn into the secure parking. That gate would need to be accessible to them or open for them in the case of the emergency, and then back up and be able to leave the site. That one, we can accommodate the prescribed dimensions to do that. Again, it requires access to that gate. There's also the possibility to put gravel or some route between the cache buildings. So a fire truck would come up, pull in between the cache buildings in this area here, and then be able to turn around and back out. So this is our secondary option if for some reason that gate needs to remain secure.
And what about an RV turning onto the site?
So the RV, we had been looking at some area in here. The advantage of this, using this area between the cache buildings for the fire truck turnaround is that could potentially better accommodate an RV turnaround. Because it's not, we wouldn't want to have the RV have access to that secure parking area.
Well, I would say we do both. We'd have the secure for the fire truck and
the RV.
There will be RVs. We'll go up there.
Yeah.
I think especially during hunting season.
The floor plan here, similar to the city hall we've looked at previously. The orange area up front is the area that's open to the public. This does include the larger vestibule to provide some weather protection from that entry door. We were able to allocate the spaces so that the overall square footage has remained. And the blue area in the back, that's the secure entry area. So this would be an area that was secured if officers were to come in with either someone in custody or with, this would be where they would come in with evidence as well and leads directly to their booking and processing and evidence processing. These are updated images of the building shape and materials. So this features the cedar shake at the entry, cedar siding at the squad room, the signage band, and then we're continuing to explore material for the darker material around the backside of the building. We've talked previously about whether that be a a cedar product or whether that be a fiber cement panel of some sort. We did reach out to our envelope consultant who did an environmental comparison of those products and has come up with another option that we're looking at. It's an engineered wood product, so it has the advantages of being a natural wood product without that cement component, but because it's engineered, it has some of the advantages for maintenance as well and durability. So as we move towards design development, those will be the kinds of things we keep digging into and move the design forward.
And those are cost saving materials.
And the fiber cement material would be a cost saving material. I don't have all the information about some of these other options and how they compare to, say, the natural cedar siding.
There could also be maintenance advantages to the engineered material.
And when we get into DD, we'll be doing those cost analysis on the material types as well.
The third option discussed, have you seen that in a building?
I have not. So what we have done, what we're working on is getting samples of that material so that we can put eyes on it and fully evaluate it.
If we determine that it's something that we would like to bring and present beyond that or bring concepts, we'll also be asking for where it's been installed, for the durability of that install, and do that vetting of that product that way.
Good, thanks.
The cedar and the fiber cement, we know they're tried and true, so they're not of question, so.
And then the final thing I have here to share is just an example of our next steps, where we would be going in terms of drawings. This also illustrates the back sides of the building that we haven't fully shown previously. And that is what I have for the presentation portion of the department.
Or to the floor plan?
Yep, I can go back to it.
Okay, no, I mean, I just
Yeah,
looked out. Okay, yeah.
Police department, okay with the floor plan?
Yeah.
People that are gonna be around to see it, are you okay? Okay.
He's drooling back.
You'll probably pull up in your RV.
I'm glad you're making that accommodation for me.
Or you said the R word, you wanted a helicopter.
I know.
Maybe,
Values change so quickly.
man.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. If it's okay with everyone. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment? Police station. Jim?
And Siebert Warman, P O Box 778. Did I hear correctly that the forest corridor is going to be part of this?
I know you have expressed that desire, and our landscape architect is just getting kicked off.
Yeah.
So they'll be looking at the incorporation of what makes sense. I can't speak for a landscape architect, but I wanted you to know that the landscaping you're seeing there is existing, not proposed.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think
Sure, that gets included.
we want to make sure. Thank you. I think it's good so far, and so I think we're in good shape so far. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Anyone else in the audience? Is there anyone online that would like to make public comment? You can raise your hand if you would like to. Great. Thank you. Questions? Councilors?
Our paper packets include design option 2, but I don't think any of us. That was a top choice for any of us, was it? Well, with the disconnected roof.
I think we presented option 2 last time, and my understanding had been that the preference was
Yeah,
option currently.
so if we approve, it's what we're looking at there.
Yes.
And you're okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
So Lisa, we have any questions on the assumptions on this project?
No, I think those were answered.
Thank you.
Fine with me.
Sure. Yes, Nancy?
I'll move to approve the schematic design of the police station and move the project to design and development.
Second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Hayes,
Yes.
Counselor Kern, Counselor
Yes.
Council President McCarthy,
Yes.
Mayor Knopf.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have anything for good of the order? Lisa, thank you.
I'm putting it off till tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, thank you.
Save it.
I do. At what point will we start seriously discussing where we move to? City Hall.
There are the abilities of the CDC, the construction manager, general contractor.
Okay.
So, Will, do you have a?
So we're just starting to look at that, get into DD, we're updating the schedule as well and kind of timing. But there's a couple options that we're looking at with either doing modulars out here, but we need to discuss that too because of different events that go on in this parking lot. And then there's also a property here in town that's for sale that we could possibly rent. I need to have that conversation with them. That would cover the square footage and the operation. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're just starting, Jordan and I are starting to vet through that and see what works ultimately.
All right.
For the city's needs.
A parcel in town that would fit.
Yeah, it's for sale. It's not for rent. It's I think it's not the old surf shop, but it's down.
Is that the pot building?
No,
I don't think that's.
That's-
I did see it had a for sale sign.
I looked at it a while ago. I need to circle back to it, but yeah, it was funny. I printed it out and I didn't get it off the printer and somebody saw it. It was like 2.5 million. And they're like, what are you doing? Something at beach for 2.5 million? Like, no. So, but first we're going to look at setting up the modulars and doing that, but we need to see if that works within this parking area with, like I mentioned, those other activities that go on.
Farmers market situation there.
Yeah, that's and displacing. And I see that you guys have the food carts out there during certain parts of the year too.
Farmers market.
Yeah, farmers market as well. Sorry. So,
Out open.
yeah, how much space we need and how that correlates to those activities.
Okay. And then I guess specifically, I would ask, how does that affect how we would actually conduct this city council and all the other meetings?
Yeah.
So there would be, we'd set up double wide modulars and there would be big rooms. We'd try to recreate your space.
Just some sort of approximate square footage equivalent. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
Staff has been listing potential locations that we could rent on an ongoing basis. For council meetings, planning commission, that sort of thing.
okay.
So is this space already built and we wouldn't put modules out in that space, or is it a vacant land or?
Well, if we were to rent space for the meetings,
It would be already built then?
it would be already built. And it would be used for by other people too, but we would have a contract with certain nights.
So we're looking at the options that
Okay,
fit best for the city, fit within the budget.
We also just did some repair work on the luminaire. The trailer out here. Put in a new floor, that kind of thing, so that the department or somebody can move and stay in that. So we've already got one of those available. And we're looking at other locations. For example, is it possible for Public Works admin to work out of Public Works? Up by the RV park for a period of time. So what we're trying to do is reduce the load that we have to displace. Or that we have to actually house. And work from there.
okay. Thank you. I really appreciate.
Yeah, we're starting to look at it, with the possible start next year. It's like, okay, what does this really look like? And yeah, how many people do we need? Does this work here? And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.